God is immutable and omniscient. He knows what he's doing from all eternity, and he knew what would happen before it happened.
You should be staggered with amazement that you are born again.
I don't care how good you think you've been, God did not save you because you were good enough. That is not the way it happens.
In order to be a people that honors God, you must be a people who know him.
Welcome to today's video. Today we're going to look at the process of self-publishing your very own book. Today I'm going to show you a step-by-step process on how to create your own book, from the developing of ideas to writing and editing, and even all the way to publishing and printing your book. The purpose of today's video is to aid brothers and sisters in the church who desire to create godly and biblical material to share and build up the church. You don't have to be a believer in Christ to be benefited from this video. If you're just someone who wants to write your own book and you just don't know where to start, today's the day for you. This is going to be the ultimate step-by-step guide in creating your book. A little bit of backstory before we continue. The reason why I'm creating this video is because I too once was wondering how to create a book, how to get a book printed. And so we went down this journey, and we were able to produce a couple of books. Now these books that I'm about to show you are books written from my pastor, so shout out to Dr. Jonathan Winningham. He's an amazing pastor, friend, and brother in Christ. This very first book I was able to help him with. We sat down, we learned the process of creating a book, and he was able to create his very own book, his second book, all by himself. That just goes to show how easy it is, and if you follow these steps, you will be able to write your own book. And at the end, and if there are any questions or anything that is unclear, just bring them down into the comments down below, and I will try to address those either in replying to the comment or even if it in its own separate video if necessary. So this first book, called Live Reckless, and I apologize that the camera lenses are flipped, so you won't be able to read this because it's backwards. But this very first book is just a small little, it's the format is called pocketbook. It's just a real small book, big enough to fit in your pocket. This is a 30-day devotional that Pastor Jonathan wrote to aid Christians in getting out of spiritual ruts in their life. It's a 30-day devotional, and if you're interested in this book, it will be linked down in the comments below. So will his other book that I'm about to show you. But if you just look, these books look professionally done. You have a gorgeous cover. You've got gorgeous spine and even some information on the back with your free ISBN. You don't have to pay for that. And a couple things I want to show you. Got a dedication page and copyright page. Got a nice table of contents, and even the pages of the book. It's got a cream color page. These books are very good quality. Let me show you a second book. So this is a little bit larger of a book. So if you look a little bit bigger, this is your standard 6x9, I believe. But look at this gorgeous cover work, and then some more information on the back. Again, this book will be listed in the comments. This book is called Serve United. This book is about leadership, unity in leadership between pastors and deacons, just church leadership, where he spends, it's a very large book. He goes through the Bible and walks through different aspects of leadership within the church. And this one, if you look, it's got the white pages rather than the cream pages. In this tutorial, you're going to be able to change the way that you lay out the pages, the font, the page color, how you do your covers. I'm going to show you all of this step by step so that you're going to be able to write your very own book and get it published. And then the only other thing that costs money is printing this, and we're going to show you exactly how much that might cost for you depending on how big your book is and what materials you use. This project can be done for your own purpose. You can write books and get them printed and sent just for you. So if you got like journals or something that you want printed or whatever, you can get these printed and sent straight to you, or you can write these to sell them. So the website that we're going to use gives you a free ISBN, and you're going to be able to source those out to Amazon. You're going to be able to source those out to Barnes & Nobles and stores like that. I'm going to show you a couple of resources that aren't necessary when writing your book, but they could be helpful tools when you're editing your book. So this is the one thing that I want to talk about before we continue. Editing your book When you're editing your book, there's a couple different ways that you can go about this. You can pay people to edit your book. What they'll do is they'll go through your book. They can help you with grammar and syntax and all that stuff. You can pay people to do that online, or you can do it yourself. The way that we have done it, and again, we're not professionals, but the way that we have done it, that's completely for free, is we have printed off manuscripts and we have gone through it several times. We've allowed other people to read it and see what makes sense and see what doesn't make sense. And then we've taken the time to go through and fix all the grammatical errors. A couple of tools that you might be interested in if you want your book to be as professional as possible. You can invest in a couple copies of these. One's the compact reader, and then the other one's going to be a manual for writers. And what these books do is they help you format writing, they help you with grammar, they help you make your book look as professional as possible. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments below. We are going to cover as much as possible in this tutorial. Alrighty, welcome back to the tutorial. I hope you guys are inspired to write and to publish your very own books. So now that we're here in the computer, we're going to go over the very specific step-by-step guide in designing and creating and publishing your very own book. So here are the 3 phases that we're going to look at. I have broken this down into very specific but very basic phases to help us kind of comprehend how we're going to go about writing and publishing our book. So you can screenshot this, you can write this down if you want, but these are the 3 phases that I have kind of drafted for this video to help us understand how to write our book. The beginning phase starts with developing an idea. So the very first thing that you're going to do is you're going to develop an idea, if you haven't already, about what you're going to write. You want to think about what your book is going to be about. What is the purpose of your book? And that comes to our next point, understanding your purpose of writing. When you are writing a book, you have to have a purpose. All writings have purpose behind them, whether it is to entertain, to teach, to help. There are many different reasons for writing, and I know that if you're interested in writing, you have a reason, even if that reason is just to get your creativity to paper, even if it's just for yourself. Like I said in the beginning of the video, you can print your own book. You don't have to write a book to sell it. You can print it for you, your friends, and your family if that's all you're wanting to do. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. My third point that I want to tell you about is write everything down. Absolutely everything. One of the big things that I run into often is I'll be working or I'll be doing something away from my computer and I'll just start getting random ideas about what I want to write. I'll get random ideas of how I want to word paragraphs and stuff like that. And often if I don't write those down, I will forget those and they will be lost forever. So I encourage you to write everything down. It doesn't even have to be something that you're definitely going to include in your work. Just write it down. Trust me, you will thank me later. So after you start going through phase 1 and you get an idea going about what you want to write and you've defined your purpose of writing, I would even encourage you to write down your purpose of writing so that you have a goal in mind. So then that brings us to phase 2. Create a draft table of contents if possible. So before I started writing my book, I created a draft of table of contents just on my phone. And you'll see in here that I have written some paragraphs down. So like I said, write everything down. In this, I have written everything down. So this could be what a draft table of contents look like. It doesn't have to be specific. As you see, I don't have page numbers. These are just ideas about how I wanted the book to progress. And I can already tell you that in writing this specific book, Christ's Sufficient Rest, I have already went a different direction with some of these and I haven't updated it here, but I've kept it here so that I can see where I started and where I'm going, okay? Second, what you want to do is you want to decide the book size, the leather size, the font, etc. This doesn't have to be a very difficult step. I'm going to show you how to do that. The book publishing website that we're going to be using today is lulu.com. I'm not sponsored by them. They are just the easiest one that I have found so far. So let me show you how to find your book size, okay? And then after you do this, we're going to begin drafting. Formatting can be done as you go or all at the end. I'll talk about this more in just a little bit. And I'm going to walk you through formatting before we get to phase 3. Okay, now that we are here at lulu.com, the link will be in the description. This is the very first page that you're going to encounter. So what I encourage you to do is to go ahead and create an account. Lulu.com has been the easiest way for us to be able to print and publish books. Those 2 books that you saw at the beginning were done through Lulu. Lulu gives you all of the tools that you need to be able to do this. If you're confused about book sizings, I encourage you to do this right here. Just go to resources, guides, and templates, okay? Those 2 books that we showed you at the beginning, one was the pocketbook size, and then one, I believe, was a US trade. So what you're going to do is you'll just scroll down here. They've got an interesting video of how to print and self-publish, but you're going to go down to the book creation guide and template, okay? We're going to select our size. They have a bunch of sizes. Don't let this confuse you. The ones that I usually stick with are going to be this pocketbook and then the US trade. So for our book, I'm going to be showing you the US pocket, or the pocketbook size, just because the book that I'm publishing is going to be the smaller of the 2 that I showed you. But you can certainly go to US Trade, and the instructions that I'm going to give you will work for any of those 2. I'm not familiar with any of these, so if you're just doing a regular book for now, we're going to click on pocketbook. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to click on download, and then once it's done downloading, you're going to click on it down here. And then you're going to get this right here, okay? This file. What you're going to want to do is you're going to click on this file right here, Lulu Pocket Template Book Size. You'll click on it. This is going to give you a couple different sizes, okay? For now, we're going to use the interior template. The interior template is going to be the inside of the book. The cover template is going to help you create your own cover if you want to, but Lulu will help you decide what kind of cover you want to go with. They have a few different options, and I'll show you that a little bit later. I don't mess with this. I just go straight for the interior template, okay? So go ahead and click on that. Then you're going to click on Word, because this is going to allow us to use Microsoft Word for our template. And then use Lulu Pocketbook Interior Template. You're just going to click on that, and it's going to open up a copy of Word, okay? What you're going to do is you're going to click Enable Editing. So what this template has done is it has allowed us to choose our page size all for us. What this does is it allows you to write your book in the format that you're going to print it, so that you don't have to do the extra work later to reformat it. You can format it as you go, okay? I already have a few chapters of my book written, the introduction in chapter 1. So I'm going to copy and paste it in here as a plain text. And then I'm going to show you how to format it so that it looks good, okay? I've just got basic paragraphs. I've got one little section right here that I've added. But these are just basic paragraphs, okay? What you can do is you can go and you can just write all your book in here and then format it at the end. I have been formatting it as I go, but you can do it either way. I encourage you to do it as you go because Microsoft Word is a little bit weird. And it's kind of difficult to do things at the end because it'll just move stuff around, okay? After you've chosen your book size, now we need to look at the letter size and font, okay? I've noted that book style, cover, etc. can be done here, but it's not necessary because you're going to do it when you get ready to order your first draft copy, okay? So let's look at letter size and font size. And what I want to show you is a couple different things, okay? To decide on the size, I typically go with anywhere from 9-point font to 12-point font, okay? I believe that's going to be probably the easiest to read. So what you want to do is whenever you're done writing, or if you're editing as you go, you're going to click it all, and then you're going to choose your font size. Like I said, I do 12, and then you also want to decide on your font. I typically go with the Century font, but you can use any of the common font sizes, such as Times New Roman, Century. You can use Arial. There's a bunch of fonts, so definitely look at lulu.com and see what font sizes are going to work best. I like the look of Century. You can choose whichever one you want. Okay, the next thing you want to look at is going to be your page margins. So your margins are going to be the things on the left and the right and the top of your page, the places with the blank spaces, okay? Since we are formatting this for a book, we need to be able to make the margins big enough so that the words do not run into the spine. Click on Layout up here. Then you're going to click on margins. And then you just go down here to custom margins. And if you look right here, we're going to look at the inside and the outside. I typically leave the top and bottom pretty the same. But you're going to just want to play around with this to see what works for you. A good base for your inside could be 3.75. And a good base for your outside can just be 0.3. And if you've noticed the way that the pages are now is it's got more room on the left side, less room on the right side, because this very first page is going to be the first page when you open the book starting on the right hand side. Another thing that you want to make sure that you have clicked on here is mirror margins. If this is normal or anything else, it will mess up your book. Make sure you have it set to mirror margins. This is a good example of what that might look like. Okay. This is the actual work that I've been formatting. So you got your title page, and then you've got your copyright page, your dedication page, and then I've got a couple blank pages in here, like a table of contents, because I've not made that yet. You're gonna want to look at a book and kind of do it as you go along so that you can see the way that your pages are going to open so that they are laid correctly. And if you have any questions about this, please put them down in the comments and I'd be happy to elaborate more. But I will show you more what I'm talking about in a little bit. Okay, so after you have adjusted your margins, make sure you get it to where it looks all right. Don't make your words run into the spine too much, and you don't need to give too much space. But the base numbers that I gave you might work for you. Just play around with it and see what you like. And that's why you're also going to look at it later and then edit once you get your draft copy, okay? The next thing you want to look at is your line spacings. The line spacings by default are a little bit too close together. You want to make it to where it's a little bit easier to read. So when you're looking at line spaces, what you want to do is you want to select a paragraph or select the whole document. And you want to go to this little paragraph option right here, the paragraph settings. And if you look, this very first, down here at the bottom, your line spacings. You could do single, but like I said, it's a little bit too much. You could also do 1.5 lines and click apply. So that looks a lot better. But for most books, and if you want it to be a little bit more professional, you don't want to give that much space. So typically what I do is I go to exactly, and then I'm going to typically give it about exactly 15 spaces. And you can see what it's going to look like down here at this preview. But if you click on it, so it's not as close together as the single. So it looks pretty darn good. And all the information that I'm giving you has come from other tutorials on YouTube that I have learned from. So I will definitely link the credit down below, and you can go to those videos and they will be a little bit more specific than what I'm being. But that's how you get pretty good looking lines. The next thing you want to worry about is your indentions, okay? Standard indentions are going to look a little bit too far, and they may not look too far to you, but you can definitely clean it up just a little bit better. And let me apply the line spacing to the entire document at 15 so that it looks a little bit better. Okay, so for your indentions, you could typically just hit your tab, but that's a little bit too much. I think indentions look better if they're not as far over. So to mess with the indentions, select the whole document. You go back to the paragraph settings, and your indentions are going to be up here. You could do your first line only, and then you can do it like maybe 0.3 instead of 0.5. And if you look up here, look how much space that takes away so that it's not as much. And to me, it looks a lot better. It just looks more professional. Again, these are just some of the options that you can mess with to make your book look better. When you're editing or formatting your book, you're just going to have to play around with a lot of the things to make it look the way that you want it to look. Your first book will be different than your second book because you will have learned and would have added a bunch of things. If you look at my copy that I'm working on right now, I've got drop caps and I've got all kinds of different things on here that you will be able to learn how to do when you are writing your book, okay? The next thing you want to look at is your chapters. How do you add chapters, okay? So let's give you a brief tutorial on how to do chapters, okay? What you want to do is you just want to drop your paragraph down and then come up to the top and just type in chapter 1 or whatever you want to name it. And the easiest way to do your chapters very consistent and make them look professional is you're going to use this chapter styles up here. You can use some of their preset ones and you'll kind of see the way they look, or you can create a custom one by clicking the Styles tab right here. You go down here and then click New Style, and then you can name it whatever you want to name it. We're going to name it Tutorial Style. Here you can change the font, the size, if you want it bold, indented, or underlined. We're going to make it just a little bit bigger. And then right here is how you provide spacing. So you can do it real together, or you can do it far apart. Also, you can do it center, or you can do it to the left or to the right. Whatever looks good for you. We're going to do center. See, and now it centers it. And so anytime that you want to add new chapters, all you got to do is highlight the chapter, or in this case, this is going to be our little header. Tutorial Style, it's right here. Okay, right here in the middle. You just click on it. And obviously, if you want that a little bit smaller, you can make it smaller, and you can edit them individually with the tools right here, or you can edit your styles here like we did just a second ago. Okay, next we're going to look at page numbers. To do some page numbers, you're going to want to click on Insert, or just type it up here, page numbers. Then you're going to find it right here. You're going to hit the drop down tab. Then it's going to give you a couple options about where you want your page numbers. Page numbers are kind of difficult to add because they mess up when you go to add other stuff. So you can wait until the very end of your book to do this, or you can do it at the beginning. It's totally up to you. But for my books, I typically do a plain number at the bottom of the book. You can edit the font, you can edit the style. By default, it looks like it's going to have it on different odds and even pages, but you can just uncheck that and then it'll have it on each page. Another thing I like to do is I like to change the positioning of it so that it's closer to the bottom of the book. You'll just have to mess around with this. Microsoft Word is kind of weird, but yeah, just mess around with it so that you can see where you want it. The numbers, you can go further up, it can go further down. Okay, so now that you have your completed book, the next thing that you want to do is move on to our phase 3. Phase 3, the very first thing is edit, edit, edit. Do not skip this step. There are a few ways that you can go about editing this, and I've mentioned this at the beginning of the video. The way that we did this is we printed it off and we went through it several times, me and Jonathan, for his very first book, and we looked for errors grammatically, we looked for formatting errors, and we made note on it. We had pencils and paper and highlighters, and we went through the whole thing and we made changes as we went. After doing that, what you could do is you could go back and make those necessary changes, print it off, and then give it to your family members or some friends, or source out people who are willing to do beta readings so that they can read it to see if it makes sense to them. This is the free way to do it. This is not the professional way. You can source out editors and you can pay those if you want to do that on their websites to where you can hire people to edit, and then you could do it that way. But if you want to do it the way that we did it, just edit yourself, but make sure you have people around you, friends, family, and people online who might be willing to do readings to make sure it makes sense. After you do that, go back and make sure you edit it. Make sure that it makes sense. Make sure people can understand what you're trying to get at. Make sure there's clarity and flow in your writings. That's the biggest thing. People aren't going to want to read a book that does not have clarity and that does not flow very well. We looked at the way to format a book. Formatting is big because you want your book to look professional. You want it to you want people to be able to understand where you're going. You want your chapters and your paragraphs to be clean. You don't want a messy book, but you also want a book people can understand. So that's why we edit. All right, you have written your book. You have gone through phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. You have edited your book, and you're ready to go ahead and submit it for your very first draft copy. Congratulations, you have gotten over the most difficult part about book writing. The rest should be easy from here. So once you get done, you're going to want to go back to Lulu. And you're going to want to click on Create, and then click on Print Books. Once you get to the print books, you're going to have this page right here. You're going to go ahead and click on Start Your Print Book, and we're going to go ahead and create a project. Now, before we continue, I want to let you know that this website is kind of glitchy. And what I mean by that is if your book isn't long enough, as far as page count, it's not going to let you select certain options. So I'm going to tell you exactly what to do if you run into some of those hurdles once we get towards the end. So in our case, we're going to be printing a book. You have the option to do photo book, comic book, and a couple other different things, even ebook. But in our case, we're going to do print book. Okay. After you do that, you want to set your goal. Do you want to publish your book to be sold, or do you want to print your book specifically for you? In our case, we're going to publish our book. You want to leave both of these clicked. Lulu Bookstore and global distribution. Later down the line, if your book isn't long enough, it won't let you sell it through the global distribution, and I'll show you how to get past that. Typically, if you're writing at least a 20 to 30 page book, you should be able to do this, but I'll show you exactly. Oh, so I want to pause right here and just say that I was wrong about that. The Lulu Global Distribution Guide has very specific requirements, and I'm going to link this guide down below, or you can find it on lulu.com. But just go through this little book. It's a little PDF book. It's going to go over all of the requirements for publishing your book through those global stores such as Amazon. And if you want to go to like page 11 and 12, and it's going to go through the specifics. It doesn't have anything to do with quantity of numbers, of page numbers, but there are certainly file standards. And the reason why I was running into problems is because my little demo file that I was using to show you guys didn't meet those standards. So you have to have all of these in your book or in your book file so that that they meet the requirements. So just go through this. If you have any questions, link them down in the comments, but this book should answer just about all of your questions to get past this if it doesn't work. You're going to want to go down to the book details, give your book a name, make sure you select the language. In our case, it's going to be English. And then the category. There's all kinds of different genres of books that you can write. Ours is religion. Okay, title and edition. Go ahead and enter the title of your book, any subtitles and edition information. You're going to want to go down to the contributors. Since this book is going to be licensed and it's going to be sold, you have to add contributors, okay? The first one's obviously going to be you as an author. You're going to go ahead and enter your name. And then if you have anybody else on your book, you're going to go ahead and add them. So what you can do is you can add people who do your foreword, your preface, your afterword, anything that you want to do. You want to give the necessary credit so that you don't run into any form of plagiarism. Give credit where it's due. You're going to want to select your copyright license that best works for you. In our case, all rights reserved. If you're going to sell your book, if you don't want anybody changing your work, you need to select the all rights reserved. Type the name of the copyright holder, and then type in the year. So 2022 or 2023, whenever you write your book, type that year in. Okay. For your ISBN, you're going to come down here, and Lulu gives you a free one. Like I said, get your free ISBN. This is going to allow you to sell it to places like Amazon, Barnes & Nobles. This is specifically for online sales. And then you're going to save whichever copy you need. If you're going to use Lulu's cover designer, just download the PNG. And if this is your first time writing your book and you're not very familiar with how to design covers like me, just use Lulu's cover designer. It's so easy. Download your PNG and then just click on to design your book. Once you get to this page, you're going to want to upload the file. Just find wherever you downloaded your file. Okay, once you get your file uploaded, you may run into some error codes. So this one, in our case, some fonts are not embedded into your PDF. Don't worry, we'll attempt to embed them. Don't worry about this. Typically, this doesn't cause you any issues. Just make sure that your book was successfully uploaded. If you used the template from lulu.com like I showed you earlier in the video, it's going to automatically put this into the book size. For your interior color, you have 4 different options to choose from. You've got premium black and white, standard black and white, premium color, and standard color. So if you've got pictures and stuff, like you want them to be really good, you can either do your black and white photos or you can do your premium color. That's up to you. We're just writing a basic book. It's not going to have any pictures, so I don't need premium black and white. I'm just going to do your standard black and white. For your paper type, you get three different paper types to choose from. I typically choose for your cream color paper because it's easier on the eyes. You can opt for white. We're going to do cream color. Okay. Book binding. For here, you have 5 different options. Okay. It says not available for 3 of them because just the file that I've uploaded for the tutorial isn't large enough. So you can choose from any one of these. When my book is finished, it's going to be a standard paperback. It will let you choose this, but for now, choose whichever one's available for you. Since it's so low pages, they only offer your coiled, bounded, and your saddle stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and click on saddle stitch. The cover finish. Do you want the cover of your book to be glossy or do you want it to be matte? I'm going to go with glossy, and then what it's going to do is it's going to show you about how much your book costs. So right now, one book from Lulu.com with the file that I've used is only $3.84. Matte is going to be just a little bit less. Oh, in this case, it's going to be the same, so it's not going to be much of a difference. The thicker your book, the more expensive that it's going to be. So, but based off of this, just your 17 pages, which is what I've got up here, it's only $3.84. A standard book isn't going to be that expensive unless it's got a lot of pictures and it's going to use your premium paper. The next thing you want to do is you want to design your cover. I don't know how to do arts and crafts, so I'm not going to upload my own cover. You can use Lulu's quick template cover, which is what I've done in the past, or you can create your own cover by Canva. Canva is fairly simple to use. You may just have to look up some YouTube videos on how to use Canva, but for the sake of the video, we're just going to use Lulu's template cover. What you'll do is you're going to add all the things that's going to be on the book, Christ's Sufficient Rest, or whatever the title of your book is, give it a subtitle, a contributor 1, so Austin Lowry, which is me. You need to spell it the way you want it written, and then contributor number 2, which is going to be anyone who's doing your foreword or your preface. So description, back cover text, that's going to be what is on the back of your book, and I'll show you an example of that now. This is what you want to write. What's the book about? Who are you? Give yourself a little bio, and it's going to go on the back of the book. So let me just give an example of what it's going to look like. I don't know what else to write, but I'll show you an example. So Lulu's quick templates, so you got 4 different options. Just choose whichever one you want. They all look good. You just need to upload an image for a few of them, and you could really get some good covers out of Lulu's quick cover creator. So let me just show you an example. So this is my good brother Noah. I'm going to add Noah to the cover to give you an example of what it looks like. This may not be a good example because the words are in the way, but you can choose all kinds of different colors. And if you look, whatever you write is going to be on the back. Your name is also going to be on the spine of the book, so it doesn't show it right here in this cover, but it's on the bottom. Brother Noah, I'm using your picture so for this tutorial. So if you look, it's going to look like that. The center title looks really good, depending on what picture you use. See how good that looks? And then a 2-color with an image. That's what that looks like. So we're going to click on this one right here, and then you can choose whatever color you like. Lulu does a good job. These are good covers. So we're going to leave it like this. And then after you do that, just click on Use Cover. Now it's going to allow us to preview what the book's going to look like. We want to make sure that our pages are lined up good. We want to make sure that our margins are lined up. And to do that, you're just going to want to go down. I'm going to turn all these off except for the folds. So the folds and the trim. So this is where the book is going to end. Margins just show you how big the margins are, but typically you want to look at these two and just play around with it. So let me show you this. So this is going to be our cover. We open up to our first page. So when you open a book, the first page is going to be on the right hand side. So if you look right here, I'm going to click on bleed. This is where your margin runs in. So it looks like the words are not centered, but when the book prints, it will, because this will run into the spine. Okay, we got a copyright page, and then we've got dedication page. So if you look, there's little space on the left over here and little space on the right, and a lot of space in the middle because the book folds that way, y'all. You have to remember that. I've not added my table of contents or my foreword yet, but look, if you add your introduction and just go through the whole thing to make sure that it looks good. I always leave a blank page in between chapters just because it looks nicer. Just make sure that it looks nice. And then after you're done, you want a description of the book. Add any contributor notes, table of content notes. This is just to help readers find your book. This isn't going to go on or in your book. Categories and keywords. This is just to help people find your book. Tags and stuff. And then your audience. Who do you want to read your book? It can be just about anybody. You select that. And then if your book contains explicit content, make sure you click this right here, okay? We're just going to do general. Add pricing. All right. This is if you want to get into the specifics of how much money you want to make. I'm not going to go into the details of all this. Lulu's pretty straightforward. How much you want to make? This is going to tell you revenue goal. How much revenue do you want to make? List price. Minimum price. You're going to have to add a payee, and they'll typically add like PayPal accounts or something like that. And then final review. Once you click on your final review, you will be able to order a draft copy for the amount of the price that you were shown at the beginning. Once you receive your book, once you order your first draft and receive it, go through it. Make sure you like your product. Once you like your product, you'll have to go back into Lulu and then confirm it, and then only after that, then you can publish it. So congratulations, you have gone through all the necessary steps to be able to create an idea, to put it to paper, to edit it, to format it, and to get it published and printed into your hands. I hope that this tutorial has been helpful. I hope it has been able to open your eyes to see how easy that this actually is. Please give me all your questions in the comments down below, and I would be happy to respond and potentially make videos about specific details that may seem confusing. The biggest thing is going to be formatting. There's a video link down below that will take you to a video that I learned all this from, and the lady walks you through each step, and she is very clear and helps you understand what you need to do. From here, your creativity is free reign. Just mess around with Microsoft Word, see what looks good, and just understand that you're going to make mistakes. You're going to run into some hurdles, but don't be discouraged. You're going to do good. It's going to work out. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I'd be happy to help. Thank you so much, and God bless.